nothing. I'm just asking very nicely.
Yes, then I will.
Just for your safety, I would like you to stay off the road.
Okay. Thank you for the
Thank you
advice.
very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate your... No.
Whoa.
All right, so you guys moving on to the next crowd now? Is this how it is? We just
We got a permit.
we just disrupt people who are standing against all this nonsense. Is that how it is, guys?
That's how it is. But let's just go back and block it. We just have to put
Can I just quickly remind you guys are going to have an income at the end of this month, a full income at the end of this month. They will have nothing. So that is a reminder to you and the politicians that send you onto these people that you will have a full income at the end of this month, like the politicians, and they will have nothing. So I hope you feel good. I know you're doing your jobs, but I hope you feel good because these are the people who are harmed by politicians, guys. And that's the simple message. It's the long and the short of it. Again, I understand that SAPs must do their jobs, but their jobs right now are absolute trash. This is what happens when ordinary South Africans decide to draw the line in the sand. You have a state who sends police officers, the hounds of the state essentially, to come and affect these people over here. So again, this is what happens in this country. But the real voice that we need to listen to are guys like this. They are the voice. They're the people who really matter here. So I definitely stand with them in every respect. And
Save our jobs! Save our jobs!
what can you say? I mean, look at that. Look at over here. It's, again, you know, these are the same individuals who will probably be coming to these restaurants to enjoy themselves here. But when ordinary South Africans try and stand and push back, nothing happens. So, what can I say, man? You know, this is what it's been. Hey guys, Big Daddy Liberty coming to you from here in Cape Town. I'm actually on Kloof Street, which is one of the more major nightlife hubs, you know, with restaurants and eateries dotting the streets. And if you can just see behind me, there are ordinary South Africans basically worried about their jobs, and that's exactly what this protest is all about. It's the restaurant industry essentially having their say on the effects of the lockdown on their employment, on their prospects as a sector. You saw the taxi industry basically stand up for their rights. You saw the farmers this weekend stand up for their rights. Now you have the restaurateurs, and including the various people who work in the sector. Remember, it isn't just the owners of restaurants, it's the various people who make a living within that sector, from the watrons to the delivery people, an entire supply chain of South Africans who are worried about their employment prospects. So they're taking to the streets. We're here, we're going to talk to them, find out what exactly they have to say. So we're going to hear from these people behind me exactly what this protest is about. It was organized formally, of course, by the Restaurants Association of South Africa, but also a whole bunch of restaurateurs that are maybe not part of that network are wanting to have their voices heard. So welcome to the Big Daddy Liberty Show, various vlogs, as we talk to these folks about what exactly their message is to government. There is a massive fight that South Africans need to wage when it comes to defending their ability to earn an income. Again, we talk a lot in this country about the unemployment rate, the poverty rates, etc., etc. But now we have a government which is literally getting in the way of ordinary people like these from earning an income. Your thoughts?
100%. You know, we're in the event industry. We take nothing away from the restaurant industry. We're here to support them as well.
Yeah.
And we've been absolutely decimated. And there's no relief for us, and there's no relief in sight for us.
That's right.
So, you know, there's just too much asked of us at the moment, and I think we're just, enough is enough.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's... people are losing more than you can understand from these stupid rules.
Sorry, as we just make way for this car, just a sense, Bali, you can come this way. There is a conversation to be had. I mean, you mentioned you're from the events industry, which of course is linked to a large extent to hospitality generally. The effects of the lockdown, how's it impacted you? Are there people maybe you hire? What's been going on in your business?
Well, we've been working hard at getting support from shadow ministers, from ministers. We've got sign-off from everyone to allow these things to happen. Ours in particular, the Mother City Drive-In, is a drive-in based event thing that our whole object is to, not only help the food industry because they'll be serving food, but it's to help entertainers and singers and comedians and the ground staff to actually start earning an income again within the safety of your own vehicle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Never mind sitting anywhere else. I mean, it makes perfect sense to us, but we're just not getting any feedback. No one wants to commit to anything at the moment. They all use this working remotely scenario to delay responses for very real issues that are happening right now.
Final word, the taxi industry in this country stood up and they basically said no to politicians. They drew a firm line in the sand, as I often say on my show. Your opportunity right now to draw the line in the sand, what's your message to the government?
That they must look beyond themselves right now. I think, there's a shift. There's, anyone can blame the privileges and all of this. Absolutely, go ahead and blame that. But the fact is that these people employ thousands and thousands of people. Our industry is 700,000 people sitting without work with no idea when we can even start planning to put things in place. And that's the uncertainty we sit with. We can't commit to investing. We can't commit to providing jobs because we don't know what they're going to say at any given time.
Guys, I'm going to come this way. Hopefully you're not going to sort of start walking backwards as I come towards you. Guys, it's two basic questions. The lockdown has been absolutely crippling to South Africans, and it is often the hardest hit South Africans who don't appear on your talk radio and, the news columns, to voice their opinions. Talk to me. What do you do, and how has this lockdown affected you?
All right, so I'm a chef at Janssen Co. And yeah, the lockdown has affected us because we've been home. Like everyone else, we respect the government, we respect the decision to be at home. But they have allowed us to open and they've closed us. Yeah. And without the liquor ban removed, we cannot, operate, and we cannot, feed our families, all sorts of things. So the only thing we want is for the government to open the restaurants, remove the liquor ban, and let us serve the people and let the people come and eat. We have implemented everything we can to make sure that the restaurant will be safe for everyone, So that's all we want. Open the restaurants, remove the liquor ban, and let everyone eat out.
And guys, as maybe a final question, I want to personalize this because, someone who might watch this might go, oh, there he goes again, talking to the politicians, and the slick media people. But that's clearly not the case. You are ordinary South Africans. Talk to me about the effects this has had on your family. Are you supporting anybody back home, sir?
Yeah, it has had a tremendous effect on our lives at home. Most of our staff, including me as well, we haven't received much from the government. In terms of even UIF, there's a lot of outcry out there. People don't know what's happening, despite the fact that people have been contributing to UIF for maybe even 15 to 20 years. There's nothing coming out.
It still comes off your paycheck.
Yes,
Absolutely.
There's nothing coming out. People are affected. Some people are close to being destitute because of the situation that is there. If you go into the townships, landlords are chasing people up and down. It's not really a good sight. The restaurants have to be opened. The restaurants can self-govern themselves. We can create safe environments for the clientele. And the alcohol as well has to be permitted for consumption because that is where we draw our clientele. That's where we draw a large chunk of our income, yes.
Absolutely. And just as a final question, what do you do within the sector? Are you a chef, a waiter, or?
Yes, I'm a chef. I'm a chef in the.
Let me ask you two direct questions. Firstly, what do you do in the hospitality or restaurant industry? What's your job description?
So I'm a shop manager here at Yours Truly on Kloof Street. Yes, that's what I do.
Right. Yeah. Talk to me about this lockdown. How has it impacted you? Basically, where are you now in your personal circumstances?
So we've obviously been allowed to open again, but we can't trade to our full potential. We're not allowed to sell alcohol. And it's been incredibly difficult because we've been sitting without an income for like 3 months. It's going on 4. And, our industry is super reliant on day-to-day trade.
That's right.
And there's just been no relief from the government whatsoever. And the only way we can somehow get back to more or less what we were earning is if they allow us, obviously within the regulations, to trade and to serve alcohol and to, let people come into the store and have a good time.
final question. There is a massive thing to be said around what exactly is harming the restaurant industry. What is exactly harming you? It isn't COVID-19. It's the regulations and the decisions taken by politicians. What would you say to a politician watching you right now in 20 seconds?
Really, just try look at it from our perspective, in terms of, we're going into debt trying to pay rent. Some of us are giving up our places. I've had to give up my place. Thank goodness I'm lucky enough to have amazing friends that are willing to have me. But there's people that have it a lot worse. People that can't eat because they're not allowed to trade.
Talk to me about the effects of the lockdown on you guys. What are your personal circumstances like at the moment, and what do you actually do in the industry?
I used to be in the hospitality. I now work in alcohol distribution, and we've been shut down now, so we don't know whether our jobs are secure in the future. So everybody in the supply chain, in production, manufacturing, and distribution, we're all sitting waiting for the hammer to fall. That's pretty much where we're at.
Guys, maybe just anybody else in the table. What do you do in the industry, and how have you been impacted?
Yeah, so I'm also in the industry. I work with them, so we're both in the distribution side of it. Being open for a month and a half, just getting excited about getting back in the trade and being able to work a little bit, obviously not to the full extent because the restaurants are still not allowed to trade at 100%. So we're sitting at home again, so hopefully things like this will bear fruits and we will be able to go back to work soon.
Guys, the one controversial question I'm going to ask, and it really is an opportunity for you sitting here now to have your say. If you had an opportunity to say something to the president, to the state, what would that be?
Money wasted, time wasted.
Absolutely.
That's it. They could have done so much more with the time and so much more with the money, and then none of the people that are in this protest would need to be here.
There are so many jobs that have been lost. We do not have the money to support them. What is a social grant of 350 Rand? The UIF TERS thing does not work. How many recipients have actually received it? And it's so late. I replied for June. I still haven't got June. So I think what I would want to know is, there's all this money. Then we hear all these stories about corruption in the Eastern Cape. 10 million Rand scooter projects, tablets, 100 million Rand overpriced. This president's spokesperson's husband is involved in a PPE scandal. I mean, come on, do they care about themselves or the people? Because right now, it looks like it's a pure thing for ANC again and not worrying about the people.
You're going to have to forgive me. I hear a little bit of a confrontation. A little confrontation coming on now. I think SAPs have just arrived, and when SAPs are in the house, there's potential for violence.
Thank you very much.
Fellas, how are you all doing?
You're in contravention of the national road traffic.
All right, we're just going to watch SAPs basically try and clear this. And again, it'll be interesting to see what will happen. Guys? Hey man, how you doing? My name is Big Daddy Liberty. I'm a journalist. What's exactly being contravened here, sir? Sir? No? Is this one? No? All right, no comments. All right. As you can hear in the background, if you can just turn so you show that, guys basically saying save their jobs. And as you can see, there's an attitude of resistance, rightly so.
Convention of the National Road Traffic Act, if you'll stop the looting. To comply.
Save our jobs.
We are now here on Bree Street. We were actually on Kloof earlier on. So as you can see, the police are back. It's a ridiculous show of force, really, if you really think about it, for what is effectively a whole bunch of restaurateurs staging a very peaceful protest. I mean, you can see some guys over here, chef-looking kind of guys. That's the nub of who's here. It's not violent protesters. But I want to show you just how much police resources have been devoted to something like this. Again, you can sort of see just how much in the way of police resources have been devoted to this. It's crazy. Why is this important to you? Why is it important for you to be here?
Because we only get 3 shifts a week. We can't afford food. We can't afford to pay our own rents because rents are expensive here in Cape Town. So we need like alcohol ban to be lifted because we can't make money anymore. We do only 3 people in a restaurant a day and it's not enough.
Maybe as a final question, because I'm sure you have to keep up with your colleague. Talk to me on a personal level. What has this lockdown meant for you?
This lockdown is, it's like, I don't know how to say it, but it's so sad for us. Like it's painful. It's painful. It feels like it died with us, cause like it's like our life is over. Yeah, it's not good. Like we want something. Like this is not enough for us. We are losing everything. Even our restaurants, like even for us, like soon we're gonna close down if they don't do something about it.
So your jobs are actually at risk here?
They're at risk, like at risk. For real, and we come far to work here to a point where if our job finishes, we can't even afford to take a transport to home. We know we're gonna be homeless on the streets.
Final question. Sorry, I know I said, how many people are you supporting back home?
Like it's like 8 cousins, mother, 2 babies. I have a girl and a boy, and then a brother. Like it's a lot. People back at home, they're not working, so they depend on me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
What do you do in the industry? Are you a waitress?
I'm a chef. I cook. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day I'll get a chance to taste your food.
You can come there, drop and buy.
All right, thanks,
Okay.
These guys here. Again, ordinary South Africans defending their jobs. How are things going? How's the lockdown been for you guys?
Well, honestly, we're not from a restaurant. We belong to a church that started #Unlock Section 31. And that section in the Constitution declares that we can have public gatherings, which includes churches, restaurants, musicians having concerts. And we have a lot of people that are suffering in our church because they work in the restaurant industry, they work in the music industry. We have Victor Masando on our truck today, who's been out of work since the lockdown began. You know, that's 6 months with no pay. And so we're out here to support the restaurateurs, the owners, the workers, because we're all part of the community together. It's not one section here and one section there. We are fighting this together.
Absolutely.
And if we don't stand up and fight for someone else, when we need someone to fight for us, there'll be no voices.
Fully agree. Now, are you guys all from the same church organization? Maybe as a final question then, talk to me about the importance of the church getting involved on social issues like this, because again, you're part of the community. Look, on this show, I talk a lot about our values as South Africans, the fact that we stand for faith, flag, family, and freedom. This is a slogan I often say on the show. Talk to me about your involvement and why this is so important for you.
Yeah, I think it's so important as a church that we stand in the gap where other people can't. You know, we have a voice as a church, and the church is kind of like a public figure. That's right. And so, as a public figure in Cape Town, we feel that our stance to stand in the gap for these people and just to represent them, to join with them as well. You know, we're suffering as well, and we understand the predicament they're in. Like Nicole was saying, we have musicians in the church, we have people who are part of the restaurants in our church. In fact, we have a coffee shop at our church that's not getting, you know, any funds in, and that's basically to support us, so we can understand what they're going through. We can understand, our heart can feel what their heart is feeling, our mindset can understand what their mindset is being. So as a church, we feel to stand in the gap is extremely important, because we wouldn't be where they wouldn't be we wouldn't be where we are if they weren't allowed to be themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? So yeah.
Maybe guys, as a final question, I always say that, but often it picks up into something else. To the two ladies on the side here, maybe on a personal level, just aside from the church, aside from the industry that you are helping protest there today, talk to me about the effects of the lockdown on you personally. Have you lost employment, or has it been difficult for you guys?
I haven't lost employment, but I've lost family
Right.
and friends to the pandemic. And so that's a ripple effect.
Right.
And it's overwhelming when you have been locked away, so to speak, from friends and family, and to be concerned about what's happening on the outside. As our friend just said, you know, we want to be a voice for the voiceless. And I want to go back to the social justice. Isaiah 54 is full of, and Isaiah 61 talks explicitly, Isaiah 58. And also Isaiah 61 talks explicitly about our responsibility as the church to unlock the prison doors, to feed the hungry, to set the captives free. It goes on. And so you get an opportunity like this to not just preach the word, but do the word.
So, I absolutely agree. And maybe as a final thought on my side, because I said, maybe you didn't hear me when the PA system was still here. It's a fantastic one, but you couldn't hear what I said. Guys, on this show, it's more than just a talk show. I advocate for certain ideas and values. You know, I talk a lot about standing for faith. Just when I get to that faith part, Devil's like, you mustn't hear that. But I stand for faith, flag, family, and freedom. The idea that actually a society like South Africans, you know, the differences that are often talked up by our politicians are just not there in real terms. That people from the church and ordinaries that actually care about each other. As a final thought, I'm hearing some accents here. Where are you guys from? I'm seeing California on your hats over here. Where are you guys from?
3 of us here are from the States.
Okay.
We all are part of Good Hope Christian Center. We just came to support, I've been here in South Africa since 2013. South Africa is my home. I often refer to myself as South African. And it's a beautiful country, and it needs people to stand up. We might be the crazy Americans here, but South Africa... I mean that as a joke, but I'm saying South Africans, we're here to support you. We love you, and we care about you. And we're not the only ones. There's other South Africans here that we've all come to join together as a people, as Christians, as people of faith, to say, this isn't right. The pandemic sucks. It's horrible. We've lost people. We've seen people get sick. But God is bigger than that, and people need to have the ability to go to work, to get some food on their table. I mean, the amount of people asking for food, the increase, the ask, the want. And it's not even just a want, the desperation is real. And if we can be a light as a church and say it's time to rise and shine and let our light come, then so be it. If it takes us coming to the street, if it takes us taking food to the poor, whatever it is, we will be the hands and feet of Jesus.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for your time. And all the best. Sorry, just your church again?
Good Hope Christian Center.
All right, shout out to the Good Hope Christian Center, man. There you go. You heard it. All right, guys, thank you so much. Again, maybe as a final point, you heard it. You heard it from people who are here on the ground. It is about standing with other South Africans who are going through a tough time at the moment. There is a fight to be had, a battle to be waged, a battle of ideas, as I often talk about. And it takes ordinary South Africans, ordinary people, to actually stand up and say enough is enough. In this case, it's the restaurant industry, who are literally saying it's inconceivable that you can allow millions of us to go home and not have any form of income and not to be able to put bread on the table. And I applaud every single person who came out here, and the thousands of you across the country are maybe protesting here today. The Big Daddy Liberty Show stands with you, supports you. This is what I mean when I say you, the ordinary South African, have to draw the line in the sand and begin to fight back against politicians who actually don't care about you and your family. I meant it when I said it to these guys, that we need to stand together for faith, our flag, our love of country, in other words, our families, and of course, our freedom. Guys, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can support your favorite fat boy, Big Daddy Liberty, by donating on Patreon. A simple $1 a month is all it takes. That gets me out 2 locations like these, as I'm now on the Liberty Tour, talking to South Africans across the country. So with that being said, thank you so much. And remember, never trust a commie.